motion to call the meeting to order. You go first to it? Yeah. All in favor? Starting the meeting?
Aye.
Thank you. Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this point in time, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss the election of board officers. Heather?
Second.
Yeah.
All the people there, I just checked. We captured it now. It's supposed to go on for sure.
Oh, sorry.
Motion to come out of executive session.
Motion?
So we're right at C now.
Lisa, did you get?
Okay.
Yeah, we started.
Oh, that would be me. Okay, I'm going to be asking for nominations at this point for the board president for the 22-2023 school year. Nominations, please.
I would like to nominate Alan Barone.
I'd like to second that nomination.
Any other nominations? All those in favor for Alan Barone as board president?
Aye.
Anybody oppose? Okay, congratulations, Alan Barone as the board president. Before I do the oath for the president, I would like to now ask for nominations for the vice president for the Highland Central School District Board of Education for the 2022-2023 school year. Nominations, please.
I would like to nominate Thomas Miller.
Any other nominations?
I second that nomination.
Okay, I'm sorry, thank you. Any other nominations for vice president? All those in favor for Tom Miller as board vice president?
Aye.
Okay, that's approved with Ed Mizell nominating and Mike Bacazzi second. Thank you and congratulations, Tom. At this point, I'm going to ask you, Alan, just to stand. And I'm going to have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of my position as president for the Highland Central School District Board of Education,
of my position as president of the Highland Central School District Board of Education,
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
Okay, thank you. I'll set you aside. Thank you. Tom Miller, I'm gonna have you raise your right hand and just repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York,
Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my position
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my position
as Vice President for the Highland Central School District Board of Education,
as Vice President of the Highland Central School,
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Stay right where we are.
Stay where you are.
Sure.
Okay, Tom, Now you.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, before we open up the public comment, I just want to thank the board for their support. This is no means shows, reflects on how this board operates. We're a cohesive board. We'll continue to strive to do the best we can for the Highland Central School District, including all the students and staff. I just want to make that clear. We'll now open the meeting up to public comment. Any public comment? Again, agenda items only. All right, we'll close public comment. Consent items, need a motion and a second to move forward with the consent agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Tom, second by Camille. Is there any items that you want to pull out for discussion? And that consent agenda will run from EA through C2? Yeah.
That'd be correct.
Anything we want to pull out? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Our Assistant Superintendent, Patrick Porter.
Good evening, everyone. Not too much on my end. I was away for a good chunk of the time between meetings. But prior to going, we did some work on the DSIP and SEP plans, which you'll hear more about in a little bit. Once those are approved, then I'll work on some of the paperwork that we filed to get some funding for those, to support those plans. Next week, I will be presenting at our new teacher orientation. I do a piece on just PPS in general to help some of our new staff learn about what that department does and how they might interact with that department throughout the year, contacts, support for them. Some of the new teachers are looking through 504 plans. If they are a special education teacher, getting them all hooked up with all of the access to records that they need. So we'll be doing that next week as part of that. Our ESSA-funded grants that will go at the end of this month. We're still, I'm still waiting on a few more responses from private schools. We do have to put out to them to see if any of them will have qualifying money. So we have an August 10th deadline for them. So once I've heard from all of them, we can move forward with some of that. Again, a lot of that money goes to support our Title I AIS teachers, is the majority of that funding for those. Other than that, it's a lot of reporting and data things over the summer. We just submitted our VR13 reports, which looks at preschool programs and our 3 and 4 year olds, the outside private programs that they attend throughout. We just have to certify a lot of information regarding those. And then I'll be working on a transparency report for the business office, looking at numbers. That's part of some of their requirements. So that has been keeping us busy over the summer.
How are we with our mental health positions, like K-12? Are they all filled in our district?
Yep, so there was no changeover in any of those positions, so all of the ones that we had from the previous year, yes, they will continue.
Patrick, in regards to a low enrollment for kindergarten, we're what, 80 something, I believe your report said. Do you foresee that trend continuing with, knowing some of our preschools and what their enrollments are?
Our actual CPSE numbers, so our classified student numbers, seem to be higher than they've been. So to me, it seemed like more families were accessing those supports than maybe they did in the past. So it's kind of going against the trend of a low enrollment. But some of those, I mean, I'm going based on students that are coming to us in that 3 and 4 year old. So, it's hard to tell if that's just goes against the trend of what it is, or if we're going to see a big bubble next year. We don't know.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Boyd?
What's up, ladies, with the Spanish teacher? So just kind of, that's like been an ongoing, trying to find a Spanish teacher, just kind of any thoughts on what we'll do if I'm not there.
That's one of the first things.
Yeah, he'll talk about some of the stuff that he's been doing. We have gone around. It's a difficult one. So, we've done a lot of personal outreach to just people we know in the area, but it's been extremely difficult. But Mr. Freer will talk about some of the other steps he's taken too to try to look for somebody.
Any other questions? Assistant Soup, Bill Zimmer?
Good evening. As you're probably aware, new teacher orientation is set for Wednesday, August 17th and Thursday, August 18th. Teachers new to the district will be oriented with policies and procedures specific to our district. Administrators from across our district are invited to eat lunch with the new teachers on that Wednesday. Clerical staff from across the district are invited to have breakfast with the new teachers on Thursday morning. And the HTA union leadership provides lunch for the new teachers on that Thursday. So I'm looking forward to a nice productive 2 days with the new teachers. As we approach the date, I will be happy to share the agenda that I come up with you so you can see what our topics will include that day. Similarly, there will be new employee orientation for all new HSA members on Wednesday, August 24th. I don't think that's always been done in the past, but I do plan on doing a one-day orientation with all new HSA members in the district. As Mr. Freer stated at the last Board of Education meeting, Jess LeBlanc will make a presentation at the August 23rd board meeting. Dr. LeBlanc will discuss the work he has been doing with the district since his last report, which was, I believe, about a year ago. Our Director of Data and Assessments, Karen Brooks, is attending a nationwide virtual conference this week. It's called the 2022 NCES Stats DC Data Conference. The conference is hosted by the National Center for Education Statistics. The theme of this year's conference is Data for DEIA, using data to improve diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And we look forward to Karen reporting out on the highlights of the conference that she's attending this week. Upcoming on tonight's agenda, after Superintendent Freer makes his report, on the agenda are the targeted school improvement plans, the TSI for the elementary and the middle schools. Throughout the month of July, I spent a great deal of time bringing myself up to speed with each building's TSI plans. I facilitated meetings with the elementary and middle school principals to discuss the plans, which helped us create the district's comprehensive improvement plan, the DCIP. I do have a document to share with you that highlights the identified priorities for each school as well as for the district. There should be a copy of it in front of you under the agenda. So if you notice, in each plan there are 3 commitments from each school. Under each commitment, in the plan, under each commitment, we list the strategies, how we'll gauge the success of each strategy, and the resources needed. For the district plan, the state asks for priorities, not commitments. So much like the TSI plans, under each commitment, we listed strategies, how we gauge the success of each strategy, and resources needed. I would like to thank Mr. Darling, Mrs. Coburn, and their committees for the hard work on completing these plans. I'm quite happy to report that this is the first time in several years that, if approved by you tonight, these documents will be sent to the New York State Education Department on time, before the due date, which is this Wednesday, August 10th. In the past, as I understand it, it's been several months late each year, so I thought it was important to try to get it in on time. And that's all I have for you. If I can answer any questions you might have.
For the new employees, new teachers meeting that you have, you're having breakfast and lunch with other members of the bargaining. Has that been done in the past?
Yes. I just don't think it's been shared with you.
Okay,
I know that
So is there a lot of turnout?
There is. I know as building administrator, I always went, but we invite all the district administrators for lunch that day. Everybody who's in district comes and joins us, which is nice. And then we sit and we kind of have a working lunch with the new employees. And then the next morning, as we said, and Mary Ann comes down and actually all the clerical staff from across the district. So by the end of the second day, the new employees really have a sense of who the administrators are they're going to see and who really are the important people they need to go to, the clerical, in each building. So it really is nice, and it's nothing new, I have to say, but I don't think it's been reported to you before, so I thought I'd share that. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Awesome. Yeah,
Thank you.
very good.
Any other questions? Good, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Superintendent Freer?
All right, so we'll start with Spanish. So we have been having a very difficult time attracting folks to apply for that position, which is not unlike my colleagues around the area. We have posted on OLAS, we've posted on NEMNet, which is the new system that we were using this year. We've also reached out to the colleges, and then over the weekend, I went one step further and I searched OLAS for every certified Spanish teacher who has an account. And then I sent each of them a personalized email from the district saying that we have a position, we encourage them to apply, or anyone that they know that might be in their same certification area. It's interesting, I'm getting some emails back. Thank you, but I'm in a position for 10 years, but they never deactivated their OLAS account.
Yeah.
But at least the reach out went to some sitting people that may know student teachers, things of that nature. So that's never been done before. That was, it was hot on Saturday, so I needed something to do. So I spent all day Saturday doing that. And I not only reached out to the 4-county region, but there's a way through OLAS to search folks from out of the area. So that was a much smaller candidate pool. And you could, through OLAS, you could send emails out in batches of 100. So you just had to figure out, how to orchestrate it so that you were able to not get the emails out, but not get them out to the same people multiple times, because you also don't want to scare them away that you're so, pestering. So that's something that we did this time that we haven't done in the past. I have a meeting with the Ulster County Superintendents. Their retreat annually happens in August. Last year it was just one day. It is now back to the 3 days. So one of the topics would be how do we attract candidates that don't necessarily come to us and fit the candidate pool.
Can we do a signing bonus? Just curious, I know when hospitals need RNs, and some we're not gonna pay 20 grand signing bonus, but I'm just curious if that's an incentive.
I mean, that's definitely something that we could discuss.
How many questions too?
I can bring that up with legal, but I mean, while I'm up there, some legal counsel will be there. They might not be ours, but there'll be legal reps there that I can ask that question of.
Would be, signing bonus would end up being cheaper than coming in at a higher step as well. So
We're gonna come in at a higher step too. I mean,
Right.
we want a certified Spanish teacher,
Absolutely.
ideally.
Yep.
And I think the superintendent needs the latitude to hire someone, knowing that whoever holds that certification, it's like a Willy Wonka ticket, right?
Well, at this point, we just have to get people to the table. I mean, I'm willing to negotiate
But you don't
higher.
even know if they got certified people out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones that are in this same struggle
No, I'm aware of that.
position,
Yeah.
but
I'm just curious if anyone knows, before I was leaving, there was a thing on the news that it's a shortage nationwide for
Right.
school teachers. And they showed New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, some of the initiatives that they're trying to implant so they could attract more.
right.
I missed what New York had down, but they had a list of 3, and I was walking out the door, so I didn't.
Well, one of the
I'm
things,
not sure if anyone picked up on that.
yeah, but one of the things that we,
Librarian's probably on there.
yeah, one of the
No,
things,
just what they're trying to do to entice
state incentives.
people to become a teacher.
Start messing around with certification.
I know,
well, and that's the other thing is just getting people certified.
It was expired, it's pretty complex.
They need people in Albany to actually look at these certifications and move them through the process. So,
Yes.
so that will be a topic. So just an FYI, because I'm out the next 3 days. You will get a Friday update, but it might not be as early as I normally do, so it might be a little later. Just after 3:30 today, I got an email from Chief Janso. The draft of the contract has finally been submitted by town legal counsel, and I immediately sent it to our legal counsel. I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to look at it completely because it came in so late this afternoon, but it took their legal counsel quite a long time to come up with the draft document. So it's off to our legal now, and I'll obviously share it with you. I'll put it in my Friday update this week, just the draft as it is today.
I'm hoping it mirrors some of those that you gave us a while back from various school districts that have SROs.
Honestly, I wish I had an answer for you right now.
No, I
Just didn't have the time to review it that closely. So Holly Brooker got back to me while you were in exec session that she has posted a slideshow on the website for the capital improvement project. I know I put this in my Friday update, but we will be having our first event on the field this coming Monday. It's a football evening for football families. I would like to have an information tent available. Again, not to promote one way or another, but to at least give information for those families, and then replicate that at each event throughout the upcoming weeks and months. So at open houses, at orientations, anytime folks are around, I'd like to have that set up. And then we have some other ideas as well, like setting it up at the local grocery store on a weekend. And I do have a question into legal counsel, because I know I expressed that I'd love to have board members be there to help answer questions, but I think if we have more than a quorum, it's considered a meeting. So I have that question out to them. If we're not meeting about anything and just being there to answer questions, I just want to make sure that we're not doing something that's going to be looked at poorly by someone who wants to make an issue of us there as a group. So
my thought would be if we can pair up and
that'd be
have
perfect.
different functions, and at least everybody gives their own perspective of what they feel the capital project has for the community and the students. So that would be.
So I sent that email off to Allison Smith today, so I hopefully have something for you. But again, that's going to be next Monday night. On next Monday during the day, CS Arch will be here to do a project video. If anyone is interested in being part of that video, just let me know and we'll try to work around your schedule. I know that day they're coming in the morning because I didn't have time for them in the afternoon, but there are other days that they could come in. And what they will be doing is just walking the district, probably with myself and Pete Miller, and we'll be showing aspects of the project. Kevin Castle over in Walkill did something very similar, and I sort of liked that he was up on the roof in his suit showing what an issue is that needs to be attended to. So I'll dig out a suit for Monday to begin that project. Hopefully it's not, I'm hoping it's not too hot, because the worst picture is Joel Freer with like sweat drying.
So the video was on the website now for the capital project?
No, this video is just gonna be created.
There's a slideshow.
Holly was putting up a slideshow. Yep. And it's, she was captioning it for folks. So Bill has the TSI and DSIP plans on tonight's agenda. I really want to thank him for, the 2 weeks that I was away at the beginning of the month. He spent a lot of time with the principals going over aspects of the plan and getting things ready to meet the deadline and get those things moving forward, so then the financing piece can be done in a timely manner and we can capitalize on more of that moving forward. Going back to the capital project, we were trying to secure voting machines, and we didn't think we were going to be able to. When we thought about this project, we didn't think about a national election being 2 weeks later, but Lisa, thank you for all the work that you did on this. She was able to strong arm them into giving us one machine that day so that we can get the ballots counted. And the importance of that is, if we had to do it on paper, we could have had a lockbox. It just would have been, the counting would have taken a lot longer. So Lisa, thank you for getting that together. So we have secured the one machine. I'd like to thank the assistant principals for the work that they've done on the code of conduct. There aren't many changes. There were a couple little wordings that were caught over the course of the year, and so that plan was in your update for adoption tonight. The safety plan, we worked on that prior to me going away at the beginning of the month, and I just needed to get it reviewed to make sure that we were not. This is the plan that's public, so we wanted to make sure there was nothing in there that divulged confidentiality, and there isn't. So that came back from legal mid-July, so we've had that up for its mandatory 30-day public hearing or public comment session. So that went up on the 22nd, so we'll be able to adopt that on the 23rd. Bill, I'd like to echo that that's probably the first time that that's been adopted in the summer and not in the fall, so I'm feeling good about that. The last meeting, we talked about kindergarten numbers, and I know I put this in my Friday update, but for the public and anyone that's here, we are running a smaller kindergarten than normal. So with the one resignation on the agenda this evening, we were able to make some changes in personnel, and we were able to move down to 5 sections. That's still, the numbers are still a little small, but I feel that we need to have that space in case folks show up. We don't want to be in a spot where we're at 4, and then all of a sudden the class sizes are 25 or 26. So we're going to start with the 5 sections. This past Friday, 5 of the administrative team attended the Mid-Hudson School Study Council Law Conference, and that was, it's always a highlight of the summer when we get some of the legal updates. This week we will be blasting social media with the changes in school lunch, because many folks are not aware that school lunch is no longer just universally available for no charge, and really encouraging parents to fill out those forms. So we will have it on social media. I had BOCES type up something that gave all the links to forms, and I will send out a robo email probably tomorrow. I think the draft came to my email box late this afternoon, so I'll review that with John, and we will get that out tomorrow. A board question came up over the week about building use. So just so that the community is aware, we have been approving groups to use the buildings, and then through that conversation, we thought, well, maybe some folks were not aware of the process. So if anyone does reach out and says that they would like to use the buildings, please encourage them to go onto the website and go to the School Dude website to get started. And if they have any questions, they can call any of the buildings or my office, and somebody can walk them through the process. But we don't want folks to think that the buildings are closed down. They are not. And we have no plans on closing them down unless something happens in the state, and right now there's nothing on the radar for that. On Friday, I will be sending in my update 2 school board conferences if anyone's interested. The first one is the annual convention, and there's also a school law seminar, so if anyone wants to attend that, this will be in your Friday update. Also, for board officers, there's an academy on September 16th, which is virtual, the 23rd of September in Rochester, or the 30th of Long Island, and again, will be in your Friday update. I think I'm done. Unless you have questions.
I want to go backwards on
Sure.
2 things here. To incentivize looking for a position, as in possibly with a Spanish position, I think it's dangerous ground going there. Not in the situation that created that void, but we've lost probably several teachers this year to other districts for more money. That's why they're leaving. And, so, you know, we gotta think about that. Do we want to keep every year losing more and more people for those reasons?
Are we losing them through, that transferring to another district, or are we approving them early on in the summer, and then they, secure another position with a higher salary? And they
I think
move
we've
on?
lost current teachers, other districts. We've also lost candidates that we've hired earlier on in the year that are chasing out of the district, going other places. So it's tough to compete with that. I don't know how we have to think about how we're going to address that for have a little bit better retention. And it's tough when you start incentivizing something, bring somebody here, because you're saying you're willing to ultimately spend the money to get somebody here, that extra money that might have kept somebody. Not that that's the case with that particular position we're talking about.
Oh, right, no, listen, you don't have the opportunity unless the candidate who's applying elsewhere comes and says, Mr. Freer, I really love Highland, but I got a basic economic problem here. You know, I live closer to Rhinebeck, and they're actually posting the same position at $5,000 higher. Or, you know,
I can go to Marlboro.
very rarely do you have the opportunity to maneuver. But
It really is the only time that you can
That's the only time.
make some.
One of my
That's all
questions, and we might already do it, but to Patrick, do we do exit interviews to understand really what is the main driver behind it? I mean, it might be somebody getting more money, but it might be somewhere that, you know, is closer to home, like you said, Mike, and maybe the two of them you're never going to kind of overcome, right? But if it's strictly money, then we can start to understand that a little bit.
Usually when, like, if we have a current staff member that's going somewhere else, they've had a conversation with the building principal or the supervisor that says, hey, just to let you know, I'm applying to some of these other districts, because it's, you know, I'm driving 50 minutes and there's a district that's 10 minutes from my house, and, or, sometimes it is money. So usually there's those conversations with the supervisor that says, you know, and in any of those conversations, you know, nothing's coming out that's, you know, detrimental that I don't think we're reflecting on. A lot of times it is location or money.
And we saw a lot with location, just with the gas prices.
correct.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it gives,
This is money.
It might just be something to consider, because sometimes just having an independent person that you don't work with all the time doing an exit interview, sometimes will bring out other things as well. This might be something to consider, that's all.
middle school foreign language position for a couple of years now, that's all, we're just, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the only incentive there is if we do have a candidate, is to bump them up in step. I mean, just to keep them on board with us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're gonna jump ship.
And that's the-
But getting back to your question, Tom, I think the only other avenue we have is through negotiation, and we're starting HTA now. But I think that progression of salary increase is gonna take a while before we even get close to surrounding
It's
districts.
just in those hot zones,
Without a doubt.
like SMART
We are
certification.
surrounded by districts that.
It's just the way, you know, the way we are. We can't make that.
No, without a doubt, but I just think it's tough. It's a tough area to go to when you start incentivizing that way. Maybe it's, like you said, a step, maybe two steps.
Well, that's always the prerogative of the superintendent.
Right.
I just wanted him to know he's got some latitude
Yeah,
here, at least I
absolutely.
support that.
Well, I know in those high need
Yeah,
positions, obviously,
Yeah.
we may have to do that. But when you're in a collective bargaining agreement, you cannot offer money to retain somebody outside of the scope of a negotiated deal.
It's gotta be,
So,
it's gotta be up front.
Yeah.
But, you know, same thing goes with administration.
point well taken.
Administrators, you
While
love
we're
that.
paused here, another issue, you mentioned the smaller kindergarten class. No, so even with the one class going away, the numbers will still be a little smaller or significant.
Well, right now they are, but, you know, just as my experience at the elementary school is, you know, we always get a cluster of students closer to the day that we
Right.
begin.
If the numbers stay small. I would
So
love
then
to have-
we're around 17.
Okay, I was gonna say, if the numbers do remain small, and this becomes a class that is going to be smaller as it progresses through, I would love for our data analyst to set up a series of means of testing this particular group if it remains small, so that we can get some real feedback as to what kind of influence the class size has on the students and their instruction that we might be able to utilize in the future.
Because we have reduced a section, I don't think we're gonna be that abnormal with the size of the students that are in the particular classroom moving forward. But we've done this before where one class might be a little bit smaller. Kindergarten, we usually don't touch because you never know what you're gonna get at the end of the summer, but this is historically low right now. When they go to first grade, that's typically when we would take a section away, or when they go to second grade, we would take a section away. And then that, we call it an under bubbles. It's an under amount of students, and that rides through, and teachers shift from different classrooms throughout the year till they get to the end of the elementary school. And then we add the teacher back in at the bottom. So we look at that every year.
If we happen to have a data anomaly, I'd love to study it and see what kind of, what effect it would have on our education.
We do have a few other smaller classes
We do.
overall, right? One in the middle school, maybe one
We actually,
Senior class is pretty small.
is small.
yes. And so I remember when that went through the elementary school, I can't remember how long ago I was there. I know I had another one that is one section less too.
Yeah, this
That
was
might
one in the
be-
middle school one, or maybe they just entered into high school.
No, there's another one at the elementary school that was, we used to have 36 sections, so it was 6 at each grade level. So we're down to 34 now. So,
Second
Yeah.
question.
yes, sir.
Going forward to Monday night, football, is that being sponsored by Booster
The
Club?
Booster Club.
So have we been approached by lacrosse or soccer that want to do similar things?
I haven't, have you?
No. I mean, I don't want this to get known just as a football field. It's a multi-use field that we're going to need support also from soccer and lacrosse parents and track. Track also, because we'll be upgrading the track
Right.
and other facilities within
We're
that.
still working on a product, right? We don't like have a brochure for this capital project yet. We have anything to, right?
But I don't want to.
I'm told I will have-
work faster.
I will have something to hand out to folks on Monday, and I will have the preliminary poster board on Monday for that location.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shared facility, and they should all get equal time, equal billing, and.
I believe Jeannie can speak to that now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not being termed the football field. I think the football booster club is the one that's taking the most active, approach to trying to do stuff.
Agreed.
I could speak about this because I'm part of the booster club. I'm one of the founding directors, and we are doing fundraisers. We've been doing fundraisers since the beginning of the year. I know the lacrosse booster has been up much longer than the football booster club. And I know that there's an active group of parents who are doing things. I don't know if they're going to do other things. I also was approached by a parent who's interested in starting a soccer booster club also. So I think we're going to see more of this, and I think it's going to just help with what we're trying to do.
But you also.
I can't do both. Or 3 things or whatever I'm doing. Yeah, no.
No, there's plenty of people who are active, but you're right.
But I want
Blue's just
to
been out
see those
front.
groups step up also and,
We're gonna do like,
stake their claim to.
we should do like a athletic field or athletic facility summit at some point, and maybe have all these groups kind of go there, and there can be some walking tours, but
You don't want.
we're still trying to get a product to put in people's hands.
No,
But I think Monday is strictly the football booster club having a family get-together
that's
for the
all I
football team. It has nothing to do with
No, I
promotion of.
understand that, but.
Yeah, I'm capitalizing on it because it happens to be
We have to take advantage of these,
Right.
these are all opportunities, so.
the football booster club, along with the coaches, we feel that it's important to make sure that we start a strong foundation. So we have been doing lots of work with the youth football organization, and we're like coming together to hopefully have more than just this year, but have like an annual football family kickoff, no pun intended, for like the season and everything else. So that was something, and then obviously it's
The great thing they've done on Friday nights is when they trot out the little guys and girls, let them run out onto the field, center of the field. I mean, it's, that right there, is huge. And that was a great program to start to do that.
And I'd like to see that every week at every game.
Yeah.
If possible.
It would be great if we could do it for the other sports too. There's youth lacrosse, there's youth soccer, there's all of that stuff to support this all the way up, and that's
So
young
farming,
families.
we're creating a farming opportunity to bring in the young athletes.
Tom, exactly what you're saying, and that's what I've been, I want to call it preaching for the last couple of years, that the varsity level coaches have to buy into the program and get the feeder program, which would be modified or JV, if there is a JV program, to develop that type of a gathering or whatever you want to call it, to build their program. I mean, football, I think, based on their coach getting some parents involved, got that going, and they organized and they went through the IRS and got the proper, certification and everything. But I think Pete had a question. Did you have a question, Pete?
There will be a soccer field painted on the field on Monday night,
Okay. Right.
just to let you know.
Matt, I have a question for Frank. Frank, a few years back, I don't know if it's still functional, but there was a varsity letter club or varsity something club that collected funds. There was like an account
We
with.
still have varsity letter club. It's an avenue where some teams can put their money into. Wrestling takes advantage of that. Our soccer programs take advantage of that. Our softball team takes advantage of that. We have baseball has their own club, as does cheerleading, and goes through. There's nothing to do with athletics. That's a club that's after school. They're supposed to meet once a month. They have a president, treasurer, from the kids.
Right, I thought those programs were out there.
Yeah, but we do have an account that's the Highland Varsity Letter Club, which some programs take advantage of.
So I think every sport at the varsity level is represented, just that they might not be as active as, let's say, the football.
No, of course, and, if anything, people should start asking why they don't, and try to form that group and reinforce that.
That's how, ironically, a parent came to me and was like, you are Mrs. Soccer and you don't have a soccer booster club. And I was like, well, we could start this, but I need more help. There needs to be other people to step up.
There's plenty of
do
people
those
to
types of things.
contact. We need the media kit to do it. So I don't just want to tell you about it as a parent,
Right.
or tell you, I want to give you a stack of brochures with a lot of pictures and less words that highlight Prop 1, really highlight Prop 2, and to give these to your parents. You're going to hear more about it. And I'll bring something up under old business that I think can help. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Superintendent? All right, thanks, Joel. Board of Education, new business. Targeted school improvement plans for elementary and middle school. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the targeted school improvement plans for the elementary school and middle school, as well as the district comprehensive improvement plan as presented to the board at this meeting. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Ed, second by Heather. Any discussion?
Just thank you for all your hard work.
And just like I shared, just wanting to see more, maybe some strategies that are focused on our subgroups. So TSI is designed because we have subgroups performing at a low level. So I think there'll be improvements for all, but leaving a lot. I just want to see a little more targeted for those groups. And I brought it up a few times since I've been on board, and I haven't really seen that.
Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay.
One abstention. 6-0 with one abstention.
I'm a nay.
Oh, you're a nay. Oh, I'm sorry.
6-1.
A nay. 6-1. Okay, Code of Conduct Policy for 2022-2023 school year. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the attached Code of Conduct Policy for the 2022-2023 school year as presented to the board at this meeting. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Mike, second by Camille. Discussion?
How does this get shared with all parents after we approve it or ahead of school beginning or around there?
It is made available on the website. Anyone who wants it. We used to make copies of them, and we would find many of them in the garbage. So now it is available. The offices will have some copies of it, and then if parents want a copy, and they could print it, or they could let us know, and we will get them a printed copy.
Right. So there's no like district-wide email where that's a link or something like that, or could it be? I'll only say in some of my experiences that have not been very positive, the question of how did this student or parent, how did you attempt to get this to them, and the electronic piece usually satisfies.
I could include that in my summer update email.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, the board has approved our updated school code of conduct. If you'd like to see that, click here, and that can be a real savings.
I could do that with the TSI and the DSIP as well. I could put those in there with maybe a blurb about why we have those, and
that's up to you. I've got questions about those. I understand the way Camille voted. As we move forward in the year, I think I'm going to have some real specific questions on how, why, up front it looks like they all need to. Staff development and teachers going to do this. I think our approach, and one of the things that we've talked about, not to get off topic, but just sharing my thoughts since I have the floor, was how does the student or family feel that there's a difference in their education based upon this plan? Kind of a reverse look, but we'll get into that. So thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, old business.
I just have one item. I think that we do need to do more, especially if this option 2 is going to have a chance. Option 1, I think the community's kind of in tune with the fact that that's kind of a zero impact to their budget, our budget, and it sits. But Proposition 2 is pretty significant, and I'm concerned with the lack of progress on stuff. I need a brochure to give to people. I need lots of them, and electronic form, paper form. So I'm also going to ask that we craft a press release to our 3 or 4 local papers: Times, Kingston Freeman, Poughkeepsie Journal, and the Record, Middletown Record. Reason being because a lot of folks read those publications and remind our own residents, hey, I heard you're doing a field? What are you talking about? I didn't read that. It kind of just helps all of us to communicate. So if we could have a press release drafted that we share with them, that would be great. And I'd like to see that press release in the next 2 weeks.
it's coming.
Okay.
It's part of the whole plan. The first thing was getting the postcard and the website. And Holly she just did the slideshow tonight. The video is next week, and the posters are this week. I should have them this week.
Okay.
So.
It is I don't have to remind Holly, but it is the 2nd week of August.
Yep.
And July it's coming.
It's
and August is here they are. That's what I'm.
A lot of our local newspapers aren't the local newspapers they used to be anymore.
But they're still part of the communication.
That's
plan.
why you issue a press release and don't let them. A reporter might call and try to do.
They might.
More publicity is great, but the reason you craft a press release is because it is in.
They don't have stringers anymore.
I'm not denying
they'll
that.
just drop the paper.
We're not denying that. There's more national stuff, and it's just photoshopped in there. The big newspaper chains are taking over, and your local part of the newspaper, wherever this article would end up, is almost non-existent, or maybe 1 or 2 pages now. It's all national stuff. Sports pages, Poughkeepsie Journal, most of this stuff is south of 84, their coverage.
Yeah,
I'm reading about other capital projects in the region. These local.
No, they'll drop it in if we, like Mike's saying, if we craft it, because basically what happened when that came through
As long
locally.
as we move
they never
forward
enforce it.
and
I hear you.
That,
Getting into their publication
And
means
it's allocated.
you're on their subscription sites, and that's available on their social media pages. Like, you know,
Perfect world,
it's
it works that
the
way.
second week of August, and I don't feel like we're any close. I know a lot of things are coming, but so is October.
I think we'll put a little spark under CS Arch to move that process along.
It sounds like
Good point.
I know some of
Every
the,
day.
I know you do, but I know some of the architectural design firms claim that they're so busy, but yet, you know, they just move at their own pace, so I think we have to put a little fire under their rear end and get some action from them. Don't forget, and I always believe this, that we're paying the freight, so.
That's why we also insisted a lot of times on support service
Well,
meetings.
with that being said, Tom,
Around our
we
schedules.
gotta resurrect another meeting real soon with the support service so we can stay on task with getting CS Arch to move in the direction that we want them to move in. Like Mike said, and Joel knows it, October 18th is 2 months away.
We pay the freight, we should be able to dictate some of the time and when the meeting happens.
Is there anything contractual that says that the limit those items that we can get in writing, that we can kind of put into that timeline? Is that something that's, and then we get, so like we want these certain things, because they told us that they could deliver it back in the spring.
Well, I think if we put the support service back in action and we give them a timeline to follow CS Arch to get these things in a timely manner to Joel so we can get them out. I think that's gonna be, you know, a push.
Again,
They don't like
everything
seeing
is late as of today. There is no timely manner. They missed every deadline. So do our own people. Christ. We got parents getting together, calling us left and right, and we just need stuff to give to them. And it's all late.
That being said, I think even right now, the next 2 weeks will be shouting the wind. The real landing zone is September when school starts. We have to come at it full force. So if we have this time to prepare. And then when school begins, if we can come out with a strong message, a clear message.
Thank you. I just get upset.
I'd like to be ready before that, though.
No, we should be ready, but I think that's pretty much the opening gate right there. I think everybody's back from vacation, families are ready to.
I just don't want to hear timely manner. Tell them they're all late.
But the efforts of the administration are appreciated greatly. I know they're there.
All right.
Just with the support services, is it possible to have like just some talking points that be crafted so that way if we're gonna help, help superintendent,
I think we can.
so that we're all saying the same thing and.
It's not like we don't have anything on our website. It's just, I'll tell you what. Prop 1 has 85% of the information,
Top two is just.
and that's not where the effort's going. There's an effort. I'm not taking anything for granted, but the heavy lift is Prop 2 for those of us trying to lift it.
But I think,
No, true, and I mean, the reality,
Yeah, the
Prop
visual.
1 is a no impact, Prop 2 is an impact factor, so they gotta really understand.
I think in our
Prop 2 is
discussion
gonna be sold as a
design,
visual, and I think what Joel mentioned about the coming in and creating a video, creating all this image, that's where it's gonna be made.
Very well taken, though. I'm not happy that the stuff isn't here either.
this isn't
I mean,
actual, this is our contractors,
is-
press people.
This is every Friday when I sit down to write my Friday update. I'm like,
Let me
we
step
have
on this
nothing
floor.
more. You know, when I go to do the Friday update this week, and I'm out for the 3 days at the superintendent's thing, I can send emails, I can make phone calls, but
Your marketing people know, text doesn't sell this.
Did they tell you what their turnaround time is gonna be after they come and film on Monday?
Timely manner.
I'm getting that from so many contacts.
Holly is writing that script, because I want it to be very similar to what Walk Hill did, because it was so comprehensive. They're doing the filming and she's gonna do the editing. So,
Timing is that not
we should have that by the beginning of September.
If Keanu Reeves can put a TikTok out every 4 days, we gotta be able to do something.
Can we get Keanu Reeves?
I'll take you on a TikTok talking about the capital project, but if,
All right, well, we got a shot.
I'll speak to my son in regards to Walk Hill and what they did to push that thing along, because he's involved in that one.
I know that Walk Hill did all the video through BOCES. There were some pieces of it that were not as, say, clean as they could have been with more professional eyes.
Oh, you got the message across.
They got the message across and it passed.
Okay.
So I don't want to put down what was there. I liked that I liked the flow of it, and I liked that it had folks that people knew and trusted in those talking point pieces. So that's the point. That's the part that I want to replicate.
If the Marguglio brothers have a quote in there supporting Proposition 2.
Right there.
Mr. Barone?
If you could get them, that would be great.
They won't support Proposition 2.
But we could get them.
They might not support Proposition 2. Be a family small. We miss you if you're here watching this on video in the future. So if they can be incorporated to the families with young children who are just coming to the district.
And that's the campaign piece that I think was, and I mentioned this before, that was the piece that was missing at the Red Hook district, that they did not capitalize on those young families because it was a secondary, that's what they viewed it as, a secondary project. Yeah, that's great, but those elementary kids are going to be at the secondary school at some point. So that was the biggest takeaway that I got from that superintendent when I met with her about things that we could do differently. So there are things in the works of getting as many young children up to this field in the next
we're trying to show a vision of the Highland of the
10
future.
weeks.
That's what we need to.
And then, having that video playing in the lobby of each school on back to school night, that's important. That has to be there. There can be we can't miss that opportunity.
Yes.
Me being at each one of those schools during those back to school nights to be able to answer a question is important. So those are all, they're in the works. And then the public forum, I believe we have scheduled for the 27th of September because we wanted it close enough to the project, but not the meeting before, in case there were concerns that we would have an extra meeting to basically have another one to answer any questions that came out in mass during that 27th, I think it's the 27th of September forum. So
we don't have the cost breakdowns there.
everything's going to be in there.
We're
It's
not
just-
laying on one side or the other, as long as we can present our vision.
Correct.
But we have to show the cost of the vision.
Correct.
And if we show that, then we're.
Yep.
That's good.
And then Bernie Donegan's office will be here on the 27th as well, to just make sure that they're giving the information. We're going to give it correctly in advance of that, but that we have our financial advisors here to make it very, like an exclamation point on what it is that it's actually going to cost. So we wanted those folks here so that if there were questions, they could answer them from a financial point of view. So those have all been set up.
Good, Frank, question.
Sure.
Frank, fall sports, is there any surprises here? Do we have enough players for all the teams?
No, that was one of the things, if I had an opportunity, I would speak about, but I can do that now. JV girls soccer will not happen. We just don't have enough. Our varsity soccer we still need some players. So we're close there at varsity. We should be okay. JV will not happen. We just don't have enough.
We still have modified, correct?
Modified, signups opened up.
Yesterday.
Yeah, I knew it was today. Yesterday, so we'll know. We should have enough for that. Our JV boys soccer numbers are kind of low also, but we may have enough. That's, last year the varsity team that I coached, we had 23 kids on our roster. That's a lot for one team, but it's not enough for two teams.
Right.
So we're stuck in the middle, and that's kind of where the numbers are right now with the boys. It's around 22, 23. You need to get up to about 28 or 30.
Again, your senior class, remember, is the smallest, like 118.
No, I get that.
And our numbers for all the other sports in the fall are good to very good. Our football numbers are very good. Girls tennis is very good. Our golf is good. Cross country, Volleyball, I mean, I believe right now volleyball we're over 30 for varsity and JV,
Wow.
which is really unheard of for Highland. You know.
Girls varsity numbers are what? Girls varsity, how many?
For soccer,
Yes, soccer.
as of Friday, it was 10 that were registered. But there was 3 or 4 others that played last year that are in, their intention is to
And
play
you're
for
bringing
some
up
register
all
yet.
JV, anybody who would qualify for JV is
Yeah,
automatically on varsity, right?
Probably should.
Right. And there are a couple 8th graders that already took the APP advanced placement test, and they'll be on varsity. But we don't open that back up. That is over with, because we're not looking to bring 7th and 8th graders up to fill a roster.
No, I
Okay,
understand
so,
that, yeah.
I know that was a question a couple weeks ago to me, but that's done. We already did the testing.
You know, the
Kids were
feeder program for soccer, is that still up and running, or that
Yeah,
struggled a little
No,
bit?
we still have it, so there's still, and that's, well, but I think it's an 09 team, so that's the 8th graders, and so my team is predominantly 8th and 7th graders, and so I have 18 girls on my roster. Some of them are pulled, I have 1 girl from Walk Hill, and I have 3 or 4 from New Paltz, and the rest, so I do have 12 girls that are from Highland that are 7th and 8th grade level that are playing. And there is an in-house program, and there's a little girls team that they're a 13-14 team that is building in that as well. So there should be more coming up. There is more conversation from the girls' side to have another even younger team than that. But you're talking, these are the future that we're trying to build through like the athletic program. But there are 3 programs potentially coming up.
When you reach out to other ADs and, from other districts, are they having similar issues, say with that,
Marlboro will not have a varsity girls soccer team this year. They don't have a JV. They never had a JV. Marlboro doesn't have a JV boys soccer. Anybody at our size school, most of them don't have both. We were one of the last ones at our size to have full rosters all the way across the board. Our numbers in tennis and volleyball were never higher than what they are right now.
Right.
So just imagine if you had 5 or 6 less volleyball, 5 or 6 less tennis, they're probably playing soccer. And then, so the kids are still all participating, this all over the
Where
place.
they go, yeah.
Just, could be those random seniors, 12th graders, that all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from under them,
Volleyball is doing a lot though. They did a summer program, right?
They're coming off 2 very good seasons,
strong
two very good seasons.
So that builds.
Modified numbers have always been high there, so,
I just want to spike a ball at somebody.
All right. Anything else under old business? I just had a couple things. Just remember HSA committee, I believe it's Tom, Camille, and Mike on Camille, you're not on HSA?
No.
So Camille was on both.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I know
So anyway.
I sent the stuff out.
Try to get dates together and move that forward. We're meeting HCA's meeting tonight to kind of kick things off. And just keep this on your radar. I thought about this a while ago, to have a board retreat. We haven't had one in years. Just have a board retreat where we can sit down and kind of express our own feelings and stay on the same page.
Sounds good.
Right.
You want mission
HSA.
statement goals for the year?
Yeah, we haven't done any of that in a while. We
Just to confirm, HSA is Camille, Mike, and
Yeah.
Camille, Mike, and Tom. You have the time for that, Camille?
We'll see.
Okay. We'll see after tonight. Anybody else, for old business or miscellaneous, good and welfare of the district? No? You're good, Frank? One more thing?
I just want to let you know where we're at, because I know you guys are talking about the project also, and I know somebody mentioned football field. I do believe that it's got to be branded as, it's Carl F. Meekins Athletic Field. You go out there right now, there's one sign that says football field, and then the sign by the scoreboard says athletic field. So there is confusion there. 20-some years ago, it was just a football field and a track. It's not that case anymore. I mean, we host varsity, modified football games on that field. We host varsity soccer during the fall, boys and girls, and then in the spring we host lacrosse, boys and girls, as well as track and field events, plus practice for all of that. And really, once the turf is there, it becomes a practice facility as long as the weather lets you do that, which we never had before. So to say it's just a football field, I don't know, but that is some confusion that is out there because people will always say it's the football field. You play 4 games there. I mean, you have 16 lacrosse games and 16 soccer games on that field, so it's an athletic field.
And modified spring sports played up there as well this year, correct?
They had
Modified boys and girls blacks played up there this year as well.
yeah, towards the end of the year, if that field is lined and there's issues down there, we bust them up here together. So we've done that in the past.
So it is an athletic facility, and that's how it should be presented to the community.
That's how it, that's in all the documents. That's what it's.
No, I get that, but that's what's on paper, and somehow it's got to be even more because people continue to think we have 4 football games. That's it. You know what I mean?
We can have that, maybe a compilation at some point in time that we
Is it an arena?
yeah.
Whatever arena, you'd actually have to close.
Sports complex.
I think I got Roman Coliseum on the mind over there. Thank you again. Keep me on track.
And now going back to the boosters and clubs. Correct me if I'm the booster club that you guys, it's Big Blue.
Highland Big Blue Football Club.
And that is, it's you.
It's me.
Right.
Yes.
So I just want everybody to know that's nothing to do with the athletic department. I never talked to you personally about it, but I did speak to other members. I just want the board to know, it's not there to supplement uniforms or helmets or equipment. The school district will continue to take care of that. I mean, I think we've done a really good job since 2014 with being able to use the funds that were given to the athletic director to get the equipment that we need. Anything above and beyond, and it's the same thing with the others. If soccer goes out and raises money, they're getting sweatsuits or they're getting themselves cleats or something like that. They're not getting, a Highland uniform that way.
Well, we're not supplementing equipment kids need to play.
Possibly, yes. But not,
It depends.
not school, we're gonna continue to do what we're doing, as far as that kind of equipment.
The boosters is to help support that and to support the coaches if there's outside things that they're looking for.
That they're looking to
Yes.
do that budget might not support.
I mean, like, the booster club purchased a camera so that is something that has been ordered and is gonna be here, that'll have, to be able to be used.
The 10, 15 years ago, whatever, you had Highland Little League. Now it's Babe Ruth. The Highland United Soccer Club isn't really the Highland United Soccer Club now. It's Quick Strike. There is a group of parents that are looking to do something through the town to get soccer at the young age going again. Not to say it's not there, but to get more people involved.
We've been part of those.
So there are more things going on. I believe the lacrosse club is very strong. Now football is going to be very strong. And the people in charge of the Babe Ruth now, Cal Ripken, Babe Ruth, whatever you want to call it for baseball and softball, they have a lot more energy than what was there 3 or 4 years ago. And you'll see that as time goes on, hopefully on the field.
These groups are doing very well regionally in their own contests, so it's very exciting.
And also on the 24th, we are hosting a boys and girls varsity soccer scrimmage. So Joel, if you want, you can give me, if you have information at that time. I'm gonna have a trainer tent there, so maybe I'll take care of it, put a table there with some information.
Yes,
for
Frank,
parents that
thank
are
you.
there.
That's the kind of stuff.
That'd be 3 weeks, whatever it is.
Every one of
29th,
those
yes.
events, we need to have
29.
3 weeks.
It's 3 weeks closer to October 18th.
Boom, dynamite.
Well, and every Saturday, I'm at the Nardones Field for Quick Strike, and there are lots of young children and parents there, so if there's anything that I could have there as well to have, I mean, that's something to think about also.
And these things are on the schedule.
Yeah, I think that's something that the support service will try to put together, and like I said, maybe teams of two can go down there on a Saturday for a couple hours with a pop-up. I think Frank's got pop-ups. And kind of promote, you know.
I appreciate any help.
Yeah. Like Mike said, Prop 2 is the one that really needs to push. All right, enough said, I guess. Anything else for miscellaneous? Oh, we'll open the meeting up to public comment. No public comment. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Tom, second by Camille. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I would somebody opposed to adjourn.
Yeah. Got more to say.
The,